Poinsettia, Chapter 12. Angus heard a stir in his room and awoke from his little nap. The room was plain, having little furniture. It was a pity, for he remembered all the rooms of McIntyre Castle being filled with the finest of everything. Now it was so empty and bare. He sniffed, raising his head. "Sonny lass?" From behind the curtain, the little girl Angus had met in the hall before had emerged. She slowly came closer to him. "Why are you here, Mr. Angus?" "You see, wee lass, I had a wee spell. Lord McIntyre brought me here to get a wee bit better." "So you're not dying?" "Of course not, sonny lass. But I still dinna know why you come here." The girl hesitated before speaking. I wanted to ask you something." "Ask anything you like. I had many years of knowledge, at least from my own experiences." "You're not like the others here, are you?" she asked in a soft voice. "Why'll that be an obvious one, sonny? Ye all are much younger than I. This is a children's hospital, after all. I'm quite the misfit." "I don't mean like that. You're different." "I'm nae like the other adults. I'm nae quite a child, nae quite an adult. I'm forever in between. That is the way I love to live." Sonny was getting a little annoyed. "No, I mean..." She lowered her voice, not wanting to draw attention to any staff that could be walking about in the halls. "I mean, you're not human." Angus went silent. She knew. She remembered. But did she really see the whole thing? How did she know that old dog was him? "Why do you say that?" I saw you last week. I had gotten up, hearing a man arguing with Sister Bernadette. I couldn't get back to sleep. When I have trouble sleeping, I sit next to the window and count stars. There were no stars that night." "I know," she replied. "I saw you walking around outside. I couldn't forget it. You were all naked. I thought it was strange. It was so cold that night. Our ancestors did many things sky-clad, sonny. Though I suppose..." He gasped, realizing he had given himself away. "You caught me, sonny lass." "You turned into a wolf," she whispered. Are you a demon?" "No exactly." "Are you evil?" "No exactly." "What are you?" Angus thought a moment before motioning to the door. "Could you show that door, sonny lass?" She gave him a nod, slipping to the door and shutting it carefully. She then hurried back to his side. "Tell me what you are." Angus sat up, sliding out of bed and sitting in a chair. "You really want to know? Please?" "I am a werewolf, sonny lass." "One of those?" she gasped. Why are you here?" "Because this is where I meant to be." "Where did you come from?" "I already told you that. I came from the Highlands." "You are older than you look, aren't you?" Angus chuckled. "It doesn't always show, does it? You would think after all these years I would have grown up a little more. I suppose I just love children." "To eat?" Angus let out a laugh. "I dinna eat children. That is just some fairy tale to scare wee ones into behaving. But I'm only one werewolf. But I know who and what I am. You needn't fear me, sonny lass." "Danny." "Pardon?" "My name, it's not Sonny Lass. My name is Danny. Danny Piper." "Danny Piper," he repeated. That'd be a really bonny name. It reminds me of the song. He chuckled, starting to sing. Danny boy, the pipes are playing. Oh, I hate that song. Everyone always sings it at me, she pouted. You are sweet, so very cute. You work for Lord McIntyre. Is he a werewolf too? Nay, he is something else entirely. He's not human. Angus frowned. You shouldn't pry. Lord McIntyre is a very powerful man, and one with a hot temper. Your secrets will be safe with me, Mr. Angus, on one condition. Angus went wide-eyed. Did this girl just infer a scandal? A form of blackmail? What did you have in mind, cunning wee lass? Anything you tell me will stay between us, but I want you to be my friend. Is that all? That's the deal. My father owned a big farm, Danny stated. She was sitting in a balcony off one of the towers. Angus had wandered with her into this room and sat in the chilly day with her. The cold didn't bother him, but he was sure that she was covered in a fleece. My mother died shortly after having me, so Papa tried to raise me himself. I remember he used to let me ride the ponies, and I would play with the other animals. But money became a problem, and we began to lose everything. One night, I remember falling asleep in his arms. But when I woke up, I found myself here. He abandoned me, she sighed. About 2 years ago, I started to get sick. I was moved to the hospital part, and I've been here ever since. She glanced at him. Do werewolves know what it's like to die? Angus crossed his legs in a half lotus and sighed. Every creature knows what it's like to die at some point. To become something else. A part of you has to die first. Your human part died when you became a werewolf? Aye, when that was so long ago. Danny smiled. Would you do me a favour? That all depends on what you want. Can you turn into a wolf now? She asked innocently. It's never recommended, but it is possible. Why do you want that? Well, I've always known animals, she explained. I love them. They make me happy, and in this place animals aren't allowed. I miss the dogs. And I am dying. I'll never be adopted into a new family because all I'm doing is waiting to die. I have nothing to lose. So, you're asking because you want the comfort, to have the animal love in your life, and the courage. It's because there's nothing to lose. That about covers it. Angus chuckled, getting up and bolting the door within the room. He wasn't about to take any chances. For her, he transformed, padding over on all fours and rolling onto his back. She showed no fear, but rather a gleam in her eye and a deep excitement. She immediately began to pet and scratch him, rubbing his belly. This made his leg kick and his tail thump. His tongue flopped out of the side of his mouth as he smiled contently. Ah, he loved being touched. Mr. Angus, what is Lord McIntyre that he would keep a werewolf as a pet? Is he a witch? He be no witch. He is something much more. He glanced at her. Now, you do promise you will keep your word, me friendship in return for your silence. Yeah, I'll take it to my grave, she said, crossing her finger over her heart. Very well. Lord Gavin McIntyre is a vampire. Isn't it his family that cared for the hospital all these years? It was he himself. This hospital, it's a castle. On this castle, it was his home. This was a vampire's house, she gasped, bringing her hands to her mouth, dropping Bumblebee. For many centuries, Lord McIntyre lived in this very castle, ruling and reclusing. Did you live here too? Aye. I came to live with him back in 1823. I remember that it was warm. Mayborn had recently passed, when Samhain was fast approaching. You see, back then, there was a wee bit of a war going on. What happened? A lot of clansmen were evicted from the Highlands, and I was one of them. Up there, it was easy living for a werewolf. There were lots of forests for good, clean hunting. How did you become a werewolf? To put it simply, I met another werewolf when I was a boy. He took me away with him into the forest. Rather than kill me, he changed me, and I led him back to the clan, where he was slain. And Lord McIntyre? He never did tell me how he became a vampire, and I never felt right asking. He is a distant relative of mine, but he lives here in Strathaven. Danny nodded. Then continued the story. How did you end up here in Strathaven? Angus began his story. Well, like I said, it was 1822, and our clan was evicted from the Highlands. Many of us had nowhere to go. The MacDoodles all went about their separate ways, but my mother, she was a McIntyre. So I sent a request to all the McIntyres I could find, hoping they would take me in. I only received one response. Lord McIntyre? Aye,